Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, my name is Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. And we are continuing our series of solo casts this week and talking specifically about day 2 of our Get Published Summit. Yesterday for day 1, we had a great group of speakers. We kicked off with my opening session about sharing your story in 2020, where we talked about how to create, publish, and market your book effectively. Jonathan Green talked about how to multiply your author income as he lives in his tropical paradise in Asia. And we mainly discussed the many ways for authors to multiply their income into a full-time business. We spoke with Jen Stevens about building a 250,000 member Facebook community. And she also talked about some of the engagement strategies and best practices to create a thriving and engaged Facebook community, which she clearly has. She also talks about how she has multiple people helping her as admins with the group for proven posts, and how they also do it for free because they believe in her cause, which of course is this great intermittent fasting movement. Derek Depker talks about building relationships with influencers and the impact that it can have on your business. He also covered the 3 things that you must have in your nonfiction book to grow your business. Jesse Krieger talked about how hosting a virtual summit can grow your business. And he also was talking about the behind-the-scenes operations of his publishing business and gave us details about the Publishing Palace, his home, and his Spice entrepreneur events that he does across the United States. And then we capped it off with our first bonus masterclass with growing your author business during COVID-19. Derek and I talked about some of the things that are going on right now, some of the struggles, and also how it really hasn't affected the publishing industry too much, because you do have a lot of people at home right now that are wanting to finally get that story out. But one of the things that we talked about as well, and you'll see this as we cover these bonus interviews throughout the week, is the keyword being pivot, because everyone has to pivot just a little bit to make those adjustments. And there's no better time right now to start building your internet-based business. And the best way to do that is, of course, by sharing your story. Now with day 2, with today, we kick off with Matt Stone, aka Buck Floggin from Buck Books. He is also the founder of 100 Covers and Quit in 6. And what Matt does is we talk about how to create an amazing cover for both nonfiction and fiction. Matt's passion is book covers, and we have a great conversation. He covers how to create an amazing book cover, and he also talks about his own journey with creating multiple successful online businesses with Buck Books, 100 Covers, and Quit in 6. Nick Loper, the host of the Side Hustle Show, one of the most popular podcasts out there, talks about how he has built his podcast to over 10 million downloads. And he covers the benefits of having the podcast, how he built his Side Hustle Show. He also talks about his books and how he developed those into a thriving business, again, with over 10 million podcast episode downloads. Tyler Wagner talks about 3 elements you must have for a successful book launch, and also engagement strategies for your audience. And then we have 2 of our bonus interviews today on day 2 of the summit. Matt Stone's going to talk about growing your business during COVID-19, and we really take a deep dive into starting your own internet-based business and how that can position you for the future. And we also talk about, people do judge books by their cover. And that's one of the things we talk about just a little bit further in regards to the book cover design. And Karen Fiera, we actually spoke again about growing your author business during COVID-19. Karen is an illustrator. She's also a coach. And we had a great conversation. Again, that the theme came up again with talking about pivot. One of the things that I really like what Karen does is she does a series of challenges with authors that she works with to help them with getting their book completed quickly. And one of the things that I've been talking about in the summit is how anyone can get a book done within the next 10 days. And you're probably thinking, well, how in the world can I get a book done in 10 days from now? Very simple. First of all, you need to create an outline. You need to think about 10 key things that you would like to cover in your book. Again, you're not reinventing the wheel. You are not writing a War and Peace novel. You need to come up with 10 key things that you want to discuss in your book, whether that's about coaching, whether that's about building a business, digital marketing, whatever it is that you want to position yourself as an authority in, this is what you want to do. So you want to come up with 10 different talking points. And the key is this. You put in the 10 talking points, you write them down. And then for each of those 10 key talking points, you then want to come up with several things that you would like to talk about. What do I mean by that? Is 3 several subcategories with that. And it's very simple. You focus on one talking point at a time, write it down on a piece of paper, cover 3 things below where these are the 3 things that you'd like to cover, and then you very simply just start talking. And I know I'm making that sound overly simplistic, but it's the truth. Lao Tzu once said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first steps. I have mentioned that quote many times in the summit, in the podcast, and even in my books. That's it. It's just getting started. So day 1, come up with the key talking point, and then think about 3 things that you want to discuss with that key talking point, and just start talking. Get your phone out, use the voice memo app, click the record button, and just get started. What do you need? You need roughly 10 to 12 minutes of audio. And you're probably thinking, oh, I can't do that. Well, guess what? Try it out. See if you're comfortable doing it. Because I guarantee it's just like developing habits. You do that on day 1. On day 2, you do your second talking point. And again, the same thing. Think about 2 or 3 items that you want to discuss when talking specifically about that talking point. Same thing. 10 to 12 minutes of audio. And then do that again until you get to day 10. And you're probably thinking, is this going to be the world's greatest book? Probably not. But it is a great start, and it is a wonderful opportunity for you to develop a first draft of your book. At that point, you can clean it up, send it to an editor, let them fix it from there. And if you're wondering, well, are you practicing what you preach? And my answer is yes. My Virtual Summit Secrets book that I released this past week as a bonus for people to take part in our summit, where basically we offered a free version of the book. In addition to that, you could also get your free ticket for the summit. That was actually spoken out through a podcast series of episodes, a series of solo casts from episode 490 to 499 with our Get Published podcast. And it was the same thing. Each of those episodes was based on a talking point. I wrote down notes of 2 or 3 things I'd want to cover. Each of those episodes went typically from 10 to 15 minutes. So trust me, if I can do it, anyone can do it. The other thing is transcription. We used to use Rev.com. What we do now is we don't use Rev because they've actually increased their fees to where it's 25 cents per minute of transcription. Instead, there is a website, otter.ai. So OTTER.ai. You can go on there, create a free account, and they will give you 600 free minutes per month. Now, in addition to that, they also have some premium access where I think it's like $9 or $10 a month. Either way, it's pretty cheap. And this is just a great way where you can take those files, you can upload them to otter.ai, and then you can have it transcribe it in 5 minutes. Now, it's artificial intelligence, otherwise known as their own automated process. Is it going to be perfect? No. But it's going to be roughly 85 to 90% accurate, and you can clean it up from that point. So that is how I wanted to cap off this episode today, is by giving you a challenge. And that challenge is, over the next 10 days, try it out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Try it out with the first talking point you want to cover. Come up with a few things you want to talk about with that specific talking point, and just get started with it, because you will be amazed at the content that's going to come out. As a publisher, my goal is always to help people get the content from their heads to their mouths to a transcription. And if that's not the process, then we tell them just to do it Microsoft Word, or even old school where you do it in a legal pad. The point that I'm making is there are so many different ways that you can finally get your story out there that there really is no excuse. So that's my challenge to you. And if you want to ask me any questions on this, feel free. You can get a hold of me on my website at getpublishedpodcast.com, or you can even email me, Brodie@BrodieConsultingGroup.com. I just gave you my personal email, Brodie, Brodie, @BrodieConsultingGroup.com, and see about accepting this challenge. And let me know if you have any questions. So, as we always say at the end of our podcast episodes, I wish you guys all the best in your author journey ahead. And one more reminder, for those that want to check out the Get Published Summit, just go to thegetpublishedsummit.com. Again, it is thegetpublishedsummit.com to get your free ticket. Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.